stuff.
I know
some of this
true.
stuff is like intuition things. Like I
All
know,
right, jump
I
off.
know
Let
that
him
I can
talk.
ask this question.
Let's both do it.
I know that I can ask this question because I know it's not that serious. If there was a big deep situation in the Mandy thing, you would know not to even ask him. If you ask, hey, can I go sit on the Rory and Ball podcast right at that time, right after the breakup, you know not to even ask that question.
Cool. Right now, if I wanted to go have dinner with Rory, I don't know how Joe feels about
Today.
Rory.
Yes, you do, because Imani been having dinner with Rory every weekend. To bring up
not
Mandy is to be dismissive of what we are really saying.
Yeah.
What's good, Elevators? It's your boy Elevation here with another episode of the JBP Elevated, where we speak on the Joe Budden podcast and all of his co-hosts on and off the pod. Oh, whoa. We're not just going to gloss over that. No, this is a big deal. Two major things happened that stood out to me, at least, that I want to speak on. First of all, it started getting real trippy in there once Mandy's name got mentioned, and then it got even heightened, or I guess more heightened, once Rory and Mal were mentioned. But the other thing that stood out to me was Parks and Ish being able to say Rory and Mal's name to begin with. And I've been speaking for quite some time that there's a little animosity building up with Imani and Joe. I didn't realize the crux of it was because Imani is still spending so much time with Rory. And y'all know how I feel about Rory and Joe. I already feel like they both have love for each other, but they realize because of the public backlash that they received from the fallout, and given the fact that neither one of them is going to give a public apology, they can't be seen together. But at the same time, it's a big deal that Mal was mentioned on the JBP, and this was like a main episode. This wasn't a Patreon episode. What happens? Because I know y'all remember when I said that they're eventually going to mend the fence, but then y'all kind of convinced me that that never was going to happen. Well, this is Joe pulling out an olive branch, because when is the last time we've heard that name on this show? But it is a big deal that Imani's still chilling with Rory, and it's an even bigger deal that Imani's starting to branch off on his own and doing Patreon episodes. And speaking of which, I find it very telling and very funny that Joe himself didn't put out a Patreon episode, but Imani put out a Patreon episode with Mark Lamont Hill. Oh man, even if there's no tension behind the scenes, this stuff literally writes itself. I can't make this up. But it gets even better, guys. Another thing we're not just going to gloss over. Joe and Parks, because, well, first of all, we already know how Parks is. He's company man. He's on company time. Whatever Joe says, Parks is going to agree with. And because they've been working long enough together, Parks already knows the sentiment that Joe has. So he's going to be first to jump in front of the bullet. Hey, nigga. Hey. You shouldn't even be bringing this up. And if you felt that there was any smoke behind it, you should know as his friend. And he was trying to tell Ice and Ish subliminally, y'all aren't the friends y'all say y'all are. Because Ice, you shouldn't even have brought up Mandy to begin with. And this was great conversation. Me personally, as an audience member, I'm not telling you to say or what not to say. This is me speaking as Parks and Joe. Because they did take offense to this. Because even if there is smoke here, we don't want this to hit the airwaves. But once again, Ice, you're not supposed to ask this question because it doesn't matter what happened business-wise. You're making it seem like business and friendships mix and intertwine. But then, Joe, newsflash, it does. We already know what happened with Rory and Mal, and I'm glad that Ish brought it up. Because, yeah, y'all were friends too, nigga. And y'all were in business together. But all of a sudden, you don't want to associate or speak to them niggas anymore. But then you'll backdoor and say that business and personal or pleasure don't mix. What? Yes, they do, nigga. So it was great questions that Ice and Ish asked, because clearly it's a fine line between what you view as an op and between what you view as content. But for him to sit there and get as animated as he did, whether it was COE or not, for him to get as animated as he did when those names were brought up is very telling. And Ice looked incredulous because he was asking a legitimate question, because he still doesn't know himself. And as much as we like to say Ice and Ish and whoever else are close friends with Joe, or a lack thereof, it tells, and it's very telling when these type of conversations happen, because they're unfiltered, especially whenever Joe gets animated. When's the last time we've seen Joe get animated like that pertaining to topics like this? I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and act like this is a big deal. Or, I take that back. I kind of have to, because Rory just got in some shit facing all the backlash from tweets from 15 years ago. And instead of kicking their back in like he did whenever that bare minimum episode came out, him and everyone else up there decided to take the high route or road and give him an out. They shielded Rory. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this isn't a big deal. First, we're shielding you from all the backlash you're receiving. And quiet as kept, he's still receiving backlash from that. I don't think this is just going to get swept under the rug. So good luck with that, Rory. But we tried to shield you from all of that. And then I'm making it be known that y'all aren't even viewed as my ops anymore. Joe kept telling us once he hit 45 that he was no longer going to operate the way that he did. He started off at Logic, and quiet as kept, we haven't heard a peep about him in Logic since he said that. Who's to say that he's not trying to expand that list? And it starts here. And as hard-headed as I believe Maul is, Maul noticed this, because somebody clipped it up, unless I'm the first. He's going to hear his name get mentioned without a bleep, and he's going to realize that this is an olive branch. Do I anticipate them mending the fences anytime soon? Absolutely not. But this is the first step. And it's very telling, once again, to see how animated Joe got when his quote-unquote closest friends brought up the topic. They're the ones that broached it. And Imani, pay attention to the ad-libs that Mark was throwing once it was let out or known that you are fraternizing with Rory outside of the pod, which is very funny because Mark was the one leading the charge when it was coming to the backlash that Rory was receiving, and that's the most I've heard him stumble over his words in a long time. People keep saying that he comes up with too much word salad. That was the most word salad I heard from him in a long time. So let's keep our eye out on this. Once again, everything I speak on is speculation, is conjecture. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just making it up. But at this point, I do want us to keep our eye out on those two relationships going forward, Rory and Maul. Because once again, when is the last time we have heard Maul's name on this podcast and the topic they were speaking on? But I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't remember Joe answering the question when Ish asked him about Rory and Maul. How would you feel if I went to dinner with Rory and Maul right now? And because Parks is playing company man, he's the one that answered the question. But I'm curious too, Ish. Answer the question, Joe. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think Joe is no longer in his oppy ways, or do you think this is a smoke screen to something that's coming later on down the line? Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the page if you haven't. If you have, you already know how we rocking. You already know what it is over here. We're just going to keep this thing moving forward. I appreciate all the support. Once again, y'all go subscribe to that Patreon, patreon.com/elevation/elevation. I don't know yet. I still don't know. But y'all go subscribe to that, man. We running it up. I want y'all to pay attention to the numbers on the Patreon. And then y'all go look at the bigger creators that are on Patreon and see what we're doing compared to them. And then we'll come back and have a conversation. But anyway, I'll see y'all soon. Peace.